US 41 reopens after a deadly crash, and the Negaunee woman arrested in connection to missing medication at UPHS.
Later, I'll have an up-to-date forecast, and Don Roberts will be back with sports. I am Ross Ray.
And I'm Don Roberts. Welcome to Public Eye News. US 41 between Baraga and L'Anse has reopened after a deadly crash earlier today. Authorities confirmed one person was killed and another person has critical injuries. MDOT reported that the initial closure was at 7:30 this morning, with it reopening at 11. And on Wednesday, Marquette police arrested 26-year-old Emily Margaret Barker of Negaunee in connection to missing medication from UP Health System Marquette. She allegedly stole the medication while she was an employee at the hospital. Barker has been charged with larceny in a building, 4 counts of obtaining controlled substances by fraud, and 2 counts of possession of a controlled substance. She's lodged at the Marquette County Jail pending arraignment on a $700,000 bond, with a preliminary exam scheduled for January 2nd.
The TV6 Canathon concluded last night with the drive collecting more than 116,000 pounds of food. The collected food will be stocked and distributed throughout the Marquette area for families in need. TV6's Scott Zerbel, who organized the event, predicts more donations will be picked up today. PETA is again putting pressure on Oswald's Bear Ranch in Newberry. The animal rights group released a statement on Wednesday regarding the 2 cubs sent from the ranch in Grand Teton National Park. The 2 cubs were transferred to the ranch to avoid being euthanized after their mother died. PETA also encouraged the U.S. Department of Agriculture to do a special investigation into the ranch, which the department declined.
Michigan is officially becoming the first state in the Midwest to allow marijuana for more than medical purposes, with today marking the first day for recreational partaking of pot. Michigan residents 21 and older can possess or transport up to 2.5 ounces of marijuana and grow up to 12 plants out of the public view, though it can only be consumed at homes or other private property. Michigan is among 11 states who have legalized adult use. Lake Superior Community Partnership will be hosting the Economic Outlook Breakfast and Proposal 1 panel discussion. The events will include a panel of local professionals who will be discussing what businesses can expect with the legalization of recreational marijuana in Michigan. The event is $15 for LSCP partners and $20 for non-partners. It will take place at the Holiday Inn of Marquette this Friday. Now after the break, we'll be back with your national and international news. Stay tuned.
Imagine the power of still photographic images, moments frozen in time that can change the way we perceive our place in the world. Journey with Todd as he shares his camera skills to put you at eye level with some of East Africa's most dynamic wildlife. Share his passion for natural history at the ends of the earth.
Friday afternoon at 2 on Public TV 13.
And welcome back. 2 U.S. warplanes have crashed near Japan, leaving 1 dead and 5 missing. The Marine Corps have recovered 1 crew member who is in fair condition. The Marines released a statement saying the collision occurred during a routine trading mission that included aerial refueling. The accident is still under investigation. On Tuesday, over strong objections of labor unions and despite voter support, lawmakers adopted legislation to delay states' new minimum wage and make changes in the sick time law. Capitol correspondent Tim Shubik is with us with a look will come next.
All of these pro-worker protesters at the Capitol yesterday had zero impact on preventing the Republicans from changing the minimum wage and sick time legislation. The House passed those changes that delayed for 8 years the $12 per hour minimum wage. And they also allowed businesses with under 50 employees to be exempt from the sick time bank. But this small business lobbyist says most of his members are already providing that benefit.
We know from our talking to our members, 70% of them already provide some kind of a paid sick leave benefit. So to say that all employers under 50 don't have that is not accurate.
What about that 50 exemption?
It's ridiculous. So basically, Johnny, whose mom works for an employer with 50 or more, he can stay home when he's sick, but Jimmy, he can't because his mom works for someone who has 7 employees. That doesn't make sense.
After the Senate approved the House changes to the legislation, Democrats continued to gripe about the fact that Republicans allegedly are not sensitive to the needs of workers.
I don't know what workers have done that's so offensive to the Republican Party.
Well, the business community told the Republicans this is a bad package, you need to make some changes.
Well, we understand that. But there's a difference between working with the business community and the business community coming and just wholesale gutting the package.
But the soon-to-be new Republican leader in the Senate counters, they considered all of the union complaints. You did hear the gripes from the other side.
I heard all the gripes, sure.
And you believe none of them?
I believe we've properly considered all of them.
Well, they say you probably didn't.
No, but then we just have a disagreement on understanding, that's all.
The protesters now have 2 hopes left. They can hope that Governor Snyder will veto the bill.
Indications that I've received is that the governor is going to sign them.
And if the governor signs it, hope number 2 is that the other side can convince a judge to block these changes. But the current Attorney General, Bill Schuette, says what the Republicans did was legal. Airview in Lansing, Tim Skubic, 6 News.
The Trump administration moved forward Thursday with plans to ease restrictions on oil and natural gas drilling and other activities across millions of acres. This action would intrude into the habitat of greater sage grouse, a threatened bird species in the American West. Federal officials had adopted a hardy set of land use restrictions in 2015 focused on benefiting the birds. The ground-dwelling grouse ranges across about 270,000 square miles, with their numbers plummeting in recent decades. Without land swamps and related forms of compensation meant to offset habitat damage, it will be harder for help to arrive for the sage grouse. A controversial bill passes in the Michigan House of Representatives today, and many Democrats aren't too happy about it. Michigan Democrats won their governor, attorney general, and secretary of state's office last month. But before they get sworn into office, Republican lawmakers are working to pass a law limiting their power. Dana White has more.
The Republicans are overreaching because they have lost the office of Attorney General.
With a vote of 58 to 50, the state House passed House Bill 6553, allowing lawmakers the right to intervene in any court proceeding. Democratic Minority Leader Sam Singh says with the passing of this bill during the lame duck session, it wasn't well thought out.
Not only rushed, but it was irresponsible. It's probably unconstitutional. It's going to open ourselves up to lawsuits.
Those in support of the bill say it's necessary so the legislature can have an opinion in court.
This legislation before us today in no way undercuts the authority or power of the current or any future Attorney General. What this does is provides this legislature a voice.
Arnold Weinfeld, the interim director for Michigan State University's Institute for Public Policy, says a bill like this has never passed before in Michigan.
These actions can, I think, be called somewhat unprecedented.
Weinfeld says he hasn't noticed an issue with the bill so far and doesn't believe it's unconstitutional. But he does say it's hard for lawmakers to discuss bills fully during the lame duck session.
The issue at hand is that you're doing it during a lame duck session, which really doesn't allow the time for intentional and deliberative debate on these kinds of issues.
Due to growing concerns of another riot, French officials have closed museums and shops across Paris, including the Eiffel Tower. Tens of thousands of police and security forces have been deployed to try to prevent another riot as devastating as the one seen over the past week. The riots initially broke out as a result of a fuel tax hike, which French President Emmanuel Macron has since backed down on. And after the break, we'll be back with your weather and sports. Stay tuned.
I've been around the world, but there's one place I keep coming back to. This week on UTR, it's Escanaba in the sunlight. But first, we stop for some food that's rustic and real. In Escanaba, we discover the Lofty Girls, candy known around the world, and a Swedish emporium of food and fun. We'll also show you Escanaba's White Castle, Stone House, and Rosie's Kitchen. Get ready to explore the cool people, places, and things that make Michigan a great place to be.
Tonight at 9:30, Friday at 5 p.m., and Saturday night at 10:30.
And welcome back. We're here to look at your weather today. Looking behind me, as you can see, the NMU campus is looking kind of cloudy and cold. Unfortunately, that's going to be following us for the next few days. Looking at the current conditions today, it's going to be mostly cloudy with a temperature of 19 degrees, winds north at 17 miles per hour, and a barometric pressure of 30.13 and rising. Going on to later tonight, there's going to be some more snow with a low of 11 degrees and our winds northwest at 10 miles per hour. And then going on to tomorrow, it's going to be partly sunny with a high of 17 degrees and our winds west at 7 miles an hour. Looking behind me at the UP today, we're seeing a mixture of snow and clouds going across here. Starting over here with Sault Ste. Marie with partially cloudy and 23 degrees. Going down to Minnesota at 23 and snowy, all the way here to Escanaba, 23 and snowy, 25 and snowy, and down here in Menominee at 20 and cloudy. Going to our other half of the UP, starting at Iron Mountain, we are looking at 22 and cloudy. Going all the way to Ironwood, 16 and snowy. All the way in Hone, it's 13 snowy, and back here in wonderful Marquette, it's going to be 19 and partially cloudy. Looking at our week ahead, on Saturday, it's going to be a high of 27, low of 17, and mostly sunny. On Sunday, it's going to be a high of 31, low of 20 and sunny. And on Monday, it's going to be high of 31, low of 21, and mostly sunny. Well, Donnie, here we have some cold and cloudy weather coming up, but I hear you don't have a story that's not much better.
That's very true, Ross. In wake of its sex abuse scandal, USA Gymnastics has filed for bankruptcy. USA Gymnastics faces 100 lawsuits representing over 350 athletes across the country. These lawsuits come from the mishandling of the Larry Nassar sex abuse case. The organization has insisted that it is not a liquidation, but rather a reorganization. A British woman is being rescued at sea after her mast broke while trying to sail solo around the world. Susie Goodall, who was competing in the race around the world, lost her mast over 2,000 miles west of Cape Horn near the southernmost tip of South America. Golden Globe race officials stated Thursday that they are currently in radio contact with Goodall and that she is safe. And a four-time dog sled racing champion has been cleared of any wrongdoing in a doping scandal that followed a race last year in Alaska. Musher Dallas Seavey had 4 of his dogs test positive for banned substances following his second-place finish in the Iditarod Trail Sled Dog Race in March of 2017. Race officials concluded that there was sufficient evidence to clear Seavey of any wrongdoing. Now here you have a good story about some blue suede shoes, Ross.
I do indeed. Lace up your blue suede shoes. Crosswalks in Berlin are getting a rockin' update. The town of Freiburg, where Elvis was stationed from October 1958 to March 1960, has replaced the old crosswalk signs with new ones that showcase iconic images of Elvis. Red is Elvis at the mic, and green is him doing his iconic hip swing.
I love Elvis.
I love Elvis, too.
I think it's a career aspiration of mine to dress up as Elvis and just do that for a living.
I love to see your hair just puff up one day. Just gotta grow it up and coif it.
If you see me walking into the studio with swaying hips, that's how you know that I'll be getting my career off and running.
I would love to see that. I want to visit Berlin now just to see these,
Just
honestly.
to see them. True.
Yeah.
True. Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Well,
you know, I've always wanted blue suede shoes. They seem comfortable, but I don't know.
I've never actually seen them before. I've never heard of I've never heard of shoes being made out of suede.
I thought they were just like blue wingtips with fancy name, suede.
Yeah. I wonder if they have them at a museum somewhere in Washington, D.C.
Or they probably have them on Amazon that you can buy, maybe.
That is a good point. Oh, geez.
Now, did Elvis ever wear blue suede shoes? That's the real question.
I don't know. I know it was one of his songs. Maybe he wore it for the...
I think he wore it in wake of releasing the song. Like, well, I have to wear it now.
Yeah, just released it for irony's sake.
That's true.
And that's all the time we have for your show today. Turn in next week, well, tomorrow, for some more Public Eye News.
Was produced in studios located in the Edgar L. Hardin Learning Resources Center by WNMU-TV, Northern Michigan University Public Television.